I am Bob Geller with PR Dun and Dunner. And for this episode, I went on the hunt and I found this wonderful panel. So welcome panel and thank you for joining.
Hey everyone.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
Pleasure. I'm glad you're here. So for this, what was I hunting for? We were looking for real examples of PR people and companies taking AI to the next level. So what did I do? I checked out LinkedIn. I asked around. As the song from the Police goes, the Sting, I sent an SOS out to you. I used the SOS Media Alerting Service. And I heard back from a lot of folks. I got some great responses. I picked some of the best, and they are here with us today. So it's a great panel, including PR senior leadership, representative of a company, and kind of a person or a hybrid agency tech company. We'll hear more about that. But for now, I'll be quiet and ask everybody to introduce themselves. We'll go around the virtual roundtable. We'll go clockwise and start with Emily.
All right.
Emily, tell us more about yourself. We work together. It's so great to see you again and have you on the podcast.
Yes, me and Bob worked together for a number of years, had the best time at Fusion, and yeah.
So now you're at Greenough? Yeah.
Yes. So a little bit about me. My name is Emily Fang, and I am a vice president at Greenough Communications. We're an agency that specializes in tech, B2B PR, communications, brand marketing, and more. And our approach to AI has been that we are AI powered, but human led. So the judgment, the storytelling, and the sensitivity to risk and nuance is all human on our team. And we've seen awesome results. In fact, from 2024, since implementing AI as a tool we can use, we've seen our media results more than double across the board. So it's been an exciting time.
Well, we're going to drill down on how you achieve those results, but first let's continue with the introductions. We have Elena chiming in from the UK, right, Elena?
Yeah, I'm here in London. Lovely to meet you all, and thanks so much for letting us join the podcast, Bob. Just as a quick introduction, I head up Liberty Communications. We're an international boutique agency based out of London, San Francisco, Lisbon, and we've got partner agencies across the rest of the world. We're focused just on technology. So the role of AI in comms is really important to us. And we also have clients that obviously do AI and have AI tools. So integrating the two is also important to us. So I'm interested in hearing everybody's perspectives and interested in giving my own as well. But I think one thing that's quite important is that we listen to everybody else, because it's such a fast moving industry and things are changing all the time, that I think it's important to try and keep on the cutting edge of it, but also to listen to other people's experiences and learn from those. So I'm very interested in giving my opinions, but I'm equally as interested in hearing about everybody else's too.
Super. Thank you, Elena. And Katie?
Hi, everybody. So nice to finally meet you all. I know we've had different email chains, and Bob, thanks so much for hosting us today. As we've kind of all touched on, super important topic. AI is constantly shifting. It sounds like we're going to learn a lot between each other, and I know listeners will also take a lot away. My name is Katie Passarello. I'm the director of PR at the Pitch Club, but I am also now the co-founder of Pitchwell. So when we think about this next iteration of how the PR landscape works in relation to AI, our agency has actually built out a new platform that almost brings together all the things into one place to help founders and PR agencies alike to access media more fast-paced.
Thank you. And Milos?
Thank you. Nice introductions. I'm most likely here the person who knows the least about PR, so I'm kind of an imposter. But what we do, let me do the introduction of that, is we are OysterLink.com. We are the fastest growing restaurant and hospitality job platform in the US. It's the newest job site. We started only recently, I would say about less than a year ago. We already have over close to 500,000 people using the site. What differentiates us is that we are fully focused on hospitality, and it's much simpler, much easier to use. It's just few clicks, post a job, you start getting candidates for people. It's few clicks, see job recommendations, start applying to jobs. We bridge this gap because this industry was not innovated or changed for many, many years. When it comes to AI and PR, I'm here to learn. I'm here to get your insights. We do some things ourselves as well. We'll talk about this, Bob. And of course, thank you so much for the invitation. But as I said, I am a general manager. I have a technology background, so PR, it's kind of a new thing. So let's see what can we learn from this.
Well, I'm sure the people on the PR side of the roundtable love it that a senior executive is getting involved and learning about AI and PR and how to actually leverage that. So it's great to have that perspective. In terms of what I had in mind for this podcast, we've all heard about the typical applications, and we discussed them on this podcast. Research, ideation, offloading administrative tasks, content development. But the tech is constantly evolving, as are the use cases. So what we'd like to do here is focus on using AI where the rubber meets the road. That is, using it to really improve results, whether that means coverage, amplifying coverage, getting more conversions. But the key thing is without compromising quality, because we know it's easy to let AI loose and things can become a mess. So why don't we again go around the virtual roundtable here and hear more about maybe some specific examples, take a couple of minutes each. And again, we'll go around clockwise. And Emily, do you want to kick it off?
Sure. Happy to do so. So McKinsey actually recently published a 2025 State of AI study, and it found that when senior leaders are actively using AI themselves, it's nearly 3 times more likely to scale and be used across the business. So one thing we did on our team was really train up all the senior leaders on our team to really start to use AI, start to experiment with it. And so I think that this has been helpful for our team in one, having the senior leadership be really aware of what's happening in the space, and then two, training that down. And so the rest of the team can really use different platforms and learn. For instance, like if we're thinking about media specifically, one thing that our team has found super helpful is there are, of course, many AI engines, but we found that Perplexity is super good at doing media research. So if you ask Perplexity, who are the top reporters in X, Y, and Z space, that platform is most likely to give one, the most accurate results. And that's just today. Like that could change tomorrow as obviously these AI engines change. But I think in terms of research across the board, that's been really helpful for both senior leaders and junior level staff as we prepare pitches, we prepare pitch ideas, we look at who to target.
Excellent. And does that AI report mention examples of where you're applying AI, or is that more of a survey, or?
That was more just a general AI, state of AI across enterprise and tech from McKinsey. Less communication specific, but I
This is
definitely
from McKinsey. Okay.
yeah, that is helpful for in terms of implementation and what we look to accomplish.
Great. Thank you very much. Elena, do you want to share your example or examples?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's very similar, and we've had really positive experiences with Perplexity too, and that seems to be an experience that seems to be shared within the UK at the various summits and webinars and everything else that I've been on. So yeah, Perplexity does seem to be the kind of standout contender when you're doing that kind of research using AI. I think a lot of our job is about reputation and making sure that our clients' reputations are looked after. And sometimes spokespeople can either be misquoted or can maybe misunderstand what they were supposed to be trying to convey in a briefing. So one of the things where we've found it really useful is, and it's really, really simple, just using AI to automate call notes, especially during briefings, and you've got a proper transcript of exactly what was said during the briefing. So if there's a dispute, so say for example the coverage comes out and the spokesperson says, oh no, I didn't say that, that's inaccurate, you can go back to those notes and you can make sure that that either it is correct and the journalist hasn't misquoted them, and therefore you don't need to go to the journalist to ask for a correction, because you can't do that unless there's factual inaccuracies. Or if there is an inaccuracy, then you've got the core notes and you can send that to the journalist, and it just helps support your case to ask for a correction. So those are, that's just a really recent example from last week of where we found it really useful. And it's really important, that kind of thing, because a piece of coverage that can be kind of negative for a client can make a difference in terms of share price. It can mean they lose clients if they're talking about a customer that they shouldn't be and the customer is really upset, etc. So making sure that you've got those accurate notes and therefore you can go back to the journalist, I think is really important. I think it's one of those things that's probably a little bit overlooked sometimes. We often talk about AI in terms of automating things and sentiment analysis and media monitoring, but actually using it in that kind of scenario I think is really, really important.
Excellent. We had on a recent episode similar idea, not exactly what you're saying, but taking the AI transcribed notes and using that to generate content for maybe posts afterwards of some of the discussion points. Interesting application. Has your team been able to move the needle on results? I mean, hard results using AI? Is that something you guys are still working on? Is that something you've achieved, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we obviously use it a lot for media monitoring and sentiment analysis, and it gives us some good statistics, but it doesn't find everything. So I think similar to what Emily said, obviously we use AI, but we're very human-led in terms of making sure that it's accurate and going through it and adding that kind of human lens. I think one of the areas that we're finding it useful for is using it to road test ideas with new audiences or new sectors, and that can be really helpful. And that has automated things massively. So doing that research has saved our team over 60% in terms of time, and that's 60% more work and more hours that they can put into being creative or coming up with new ideas or media engagement and that kind of thing. So from a time saving perspective, we've noticed a huge difference. But as I say, it automates certain things, but you still need to have that human element to make sure you go through it, to make sure it's accurate. And the other thing that I would say is that when you're coming up with new messaging, you really can't rely on AI, because AI is just as good as what's been inputted into it. So it's not good at coming up with that, sparky idea or that light bulb moment where you really think of how you can position your client in a really innovative way, or how you can take your messaging and apply it to come up with a really great creative campaign. It will sort of rehash campaigns that have been done in the past, but it won't come up with something, really new. So I think we need to be really careful that we don't become lazy with it, and that we become over reliant on it, because that will lose our spark as an industry. And I think that's what makes us so brilliant at what we do and so different, that's that creativity and that energy and that enthusiasm. I really don't want us to lose that, because that makes us really special, I think, as an industry.
100%. By the way, you caught my attention with this idea of road testing. By that, do you mean maybe A/B testing across live audiences, or testing against, say, a chat GPT kind of?
So we've road tested against new audiences, predominantly. So using either new content or even images. So when you come up with a campaign and you've got an image that you're using for the campaign, you can road test that against how that's going to be perceived by certain audiences, especially if you're doing things within a country that isn't native to you, where there might be cultural differences that you need to be aware of. I think that's really important.
Excellent. Thank you.
No
We'll
worries.
probably want to dig more into that, but we'll go around first. Katie, you have a particularly interesting story, because it's not just about applying PR, but about using technology.
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
specifically
And
technology platform that you, I guess, developed or your team developed?
yeah, so I think that there's been some things, both Emily and Elena, that you guys have pointed out. I think Elena specifically, how you were saying using AI as leverage as opposed to replacement is going to be really important. And Emily, we see it also on our side with the media monitoring and how you can do more in less time because you're able to use tools instead of having to be down in the trenches every single morning for hours sometimes. On our side, we're doing all of those things. The transcriptions are incredibly helpful. We've used that a lot, especially we're receiving a lot of questions from journalists. And I don't know if you guys have noticed similarly, there's less live interviews that are happening and a lot more on our side where we're being sent questions from journalists, and being able to just get audio recordings from our clients is so much faster than having to type out everything over the course of an hour. On our side, what we're doing that's a little bit different is we've actually built out the platform with the help of an engineer so that we can access 3.8 million podcasts in an instant. So when it comes to having to search through all of these different podcast opportunities and understand what's going to be the best fit for our clients, we've been able to use the tech that combines both our skills on the PR side with AI to actually pull potential podcasts. Now, there's no automation, so there's no bulk pitching, Elena, to your point, right? Like we really don't want to lose that creativity, that spark, that true connection, but we've been able to build a back end that offers us options for our clients. And then we, as the humans, can say, yes, this looks like a good fit. Let's pursue this. Or no, this doesn't look like a good fit. Let's not pursue this. And so that's been able to really increase our ability to reach out to more either journalists or podcast hosts on behalf of our clients. We also have an interface where clients can actually use it themselves. So in the Muckrack State of the Union, they reported that nearly half of journalists want to see access to the source. And I think this goes back to a lot of what we're already talking about, how with AI, you can't just replace the human. It's impossible. You can't replace the source. Those quotes need to be authentic. And so, how can we make sure that we're making that combination of, yes, we're using it as leverage so that we can access more people or access more ideas, but we're not necessarily replacing either the PR behind it or the client voice itself.
Great. Thanks for sharing that. Milos?
Yeah, these were some interesting notes. And what we do is fairly similar to some of the cases that were mentioned by Katie and Elena. So I'll give you 3 cases. First is how we pitch. Second is how we generate ideas. And the third one is how we maximize the pick rates of our ideas, so success rates. So I'll go a little bit more into details of how we pitch. Is basically we have the AI that instead of sending mass emails, we use AI to study each reporter's recent work, communication, publications, style of writing, expectation, everything. So we basically have a profile. And when I say we use AI, I don't mean we are using ChatGPT. I don't mean we are using Perplexity. I mean we have the in-house internal chain of small use case AIs. You can use make.com for that. You can use your own LLMs built in a way, but it basically is input, output in a very structured manner that does a lot of small tasks and then spits out something that makes sense. So to get back to the how we pitch. So basically, as I said, instead of sending mass emails, we create a profile. Then this helps us, find the stories which are most likely to be used. And then from there, we outreach. Of course, this is just idea creation. The person itself is going to be the one who actually sends the note, the comment, suggestion, whatever it is. So this naturally flows into my second use case that I said, how do we generate ideas? We have another set of AIs who monitor for trends, monitor media, news, press releases, social media, all of this. And we obviously are targeting this towards our industry. Every
This is
morning,
all, I'm sorry to interrupt. This is all home brewed. This is something not commercial.
this is not commercial, no. This is all made by our AI team that basically said, okay, let me create a small agent that does this, and when it does that, it picks up some information and then puts it into this next agent and say, let's verify if this is idea that we should be pursuing, and then let's verify if this is the journalist that we can pitch, and then it goes in a chain, and then in the end, every morning my PR managers get an email with like 50 ideas that they can go after. Every morning, social media manager gets 50 ideas that they can post. Every morning, my content team gets 50 ideas that they should write about. So that's the second case of how we use to generate ideas. And then the third one is how do we maximize the pickup rates of when we pitch someone. To go back to the first idea, again, we go through guidelines. So for example, when we write for Forbes, I have a column in Forbes, in Entrepreneur, in Magazine, and a few others. They have some guidelines. To be honest, I have no idea what these guidelines are. But
They have some
guidelines,
guidelines.
like writing
Yeah, yeah.
guidelines, expectations, and so forth.
Sure.
But when I write a piece, I give this to my editorial team. They review it, obviously, because I'm not as grammatically savvy as they are. And they review this. They get back to, their own process, and then they put it into our own made Forbes editor AI agent. And this agent says, I would not approve this because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You violated this guideline, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, blah, 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 right? So basically we try to make and impersonate, by the way, this is a top trick. You can impersonate almost any audience using AI. If you describe it well enough, you can literally say, act as so-and-so, and it will act as so-and-so to a point where you were like, we use this for design, by the way. I'm going off topic now. It's not PR. We use this for UX and say, my target audience is this and that. They have English, Spanish, this, and da. Would they understand this feature? And it says, no, because of this. And you're like, how did I not see that? Holy ass, So, okay, enough from me for now. So basically that's what we do.
Well, that's pretty cool. And I'd like to get a reaction from others on the panel. How do you feel? Because I think this is the first example I've heard of using PR on the front lines. By the way, the PR is not delivering the pitch, right? You said, Milos, you have a person reviewing pitches and sending them out, but it's giving you ideas for articles, or it's actually formulating
Absolutely,
articles.
yes. AI is basically coming up, doing the research and coming up with, I would say, summary of current things happening. And then, of course, person needs to take over. It's never AI who does the work. Person who takes over.
What do you think? Does that worry you, rest of the panel? Is that an area you'd like to go?
I think that idea of that email in the morning with all those ideas, that can be really helpful.
Sure. Why not?
Yeah.
Maybe we should pivot and create a product.
Finally, well, you should commercialize this, Milos. But and maybe Katie can do a deal with you guys.
I know. I was gonna say, Milos, we're gonna have to get on a call because I'm curious to see, obviously, the insides of what you're doing. It's a little bit similar to what we have done. So obviously, our agency has been operating for the last 5.5 years in a very specific manner, but in the last year or so, we've really changed the way that we operate to meet the current moment with AI. And so this platform that we've built, Milos, it sounds a little bit similar in the sense that we're putting everything into a system that our team can use. So from idea through pitch generation, through connection to either a podcast host or a journalist, it's all now within one platform. So something that us on the PR side, we tend to experience is we have spreadsheets over here, and we have documents over here, and we have emails, and we have audio recordings, and we have different groups where we can find opportunities, and it's all over the place. And so what we've done with Pitchwell is essentially put it all into one platform. So I love the idea of having an email into our inbox every single day. I'm agreeing with you, Elena, on that one, that we need to have something similar for our team. But I am curious to swap notes, Milos, and show you what we've built on our side, because it sounds like this ideation by tracking through pitch generation, through who do we contact, wherever you can tighten that pipeline, the better success that you're going to have with the outreach that you do, regardless if it's in-house or as an agency.
Yeah, let's catch up.
Right.
Those.
Here's another application, maybe similar, and we're experimenting with this at Fusion PR, is taking an agent and having it go through your inbox. Look at the HAROs, the quotas, the profnets, the SOSs, depending on what your client does, and you train the AI, you give it prompts. It will, and it does this, a bunch of times a day, because we know these alerts come in at different times to your inbox. Maybe, I don't know, you can do it as often as you want. And the first step is to flag them. This is a good opportunity for your client. Check it out. Maybe you didn't have a chance to look at the quoted because you're doing a million other things. I mean, but you can see where this could go. The second step would be, well, let's get a pitch started. Have the AI start the pitch, right? And then have a queue like the one Milos is talking about, where you have, these pitches ready to go for real opportunities. I mean, that's one area to consider. Well, let me ask another question. Have there been examples of where AI didn't meet your expectations? There was fails, maybe. I know we don't like to talk about this, but let's face it. I sense this team is on the cutting edge, and when you're on the cutting edge, you want to. I mean, sometimes you're going to make mistakes, right? Trial and error, and the technology's changed so fast. I'll share one, by the way, if others don't have.
I think I think for content, sometimes it can, and if you're using it for helping to generate quotes for clients, what comes back can be really glib and really,
For sure. For
yeah,
sure.
yeah, and you just think, oh, you need to just start again. And I think especially for quite a European audience who are much more cynical, it just doesn't work. There's kind of these puff pieces talking about how amazing the partnership is and blah 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 blah. It's just too cliched what it comes back with. So from that perspective, I think I've been quite disappointed. Yeah, we just don't use it for content properly anymore.
Is it too much? Go ahead, Emily. I'm sorry, you were saying?
Oh, I was going to also say our team motto is definitely scrappy, not crappy. So we're always looking for scrappy ways to use AI. But when it comes to content, I think there's a long way to go. I don't think content writers are going anywhere. I think they're still definitely needed, and maybe a quick grammar check from AI or Grammarly is what is used to make sure the piece is ready to go. But in terms of actual creation, it definitely starts with the team for sure.
Yeah, in the early days.
No. Go ahead, Katie.
In the early days when, ChatGPT was kind of coming onto the scene and we were playing around with it, about a year ago or so, kind of similarly, we were like, well, this content, it's so, you can almost see the structure of how a paragraph or a 200-word piece is written. And it's so obviously AI generated. And that was part of the reason why we built Pitchwell, was because we liked the idea of being able to really beef up our pitches and turn things around quickly. But what we were able to do through some of the existing tools was so rinse and repeat and cut and dry that it just, or fluffy, I guess, maybe, as opposed to cut and dry. And so we quickly pivoted away from that. And even building our platform has been a lot of trial and error of really making a mix of our templates that our agency uses, right? Especially with our juniors, of, okay, this is our system for how we pitch a specific type of media, and trying to marry that with the PR tool that we've built. And so kind of coming up with this medium of, these are the templates that we know work, and this is the type of content we want to create, but how do we keep it so that it doesn't sound fluffy, or it doesn't come out looking like ChatGPT, because it's not. So we've had some pretty interesting moments where we've generated pitches and have found that it doesn't work as well as you would like it to.
Can you improve it?
Yeah, I think humor is so important, particularly in the UK, and AI doesn't really do humor. So, if you're trying to build relationships with people, which is, what we're all about, and that makes us great at what we do, I think, then yeah, AI just falls down in a huge way from that perspective. I think AI is what I found it really good for as well, is finding data points. So if you can use it to support what you're saying, to add data to a particular point that you're making in a piece of content, it's great from that perspective. It's really, really useful, although sometimes it can be a bit dated. You can actually, if you go away yourself, you can find more recent data, but it's useful from that perspective. But those kind of nuances of how you use the language, especially around humor, avoid.
Can AI guess what might work with the journalist?
Can AI what, sorry?
Can AI guess what might work for a journalist for a given pitch? Can it help you tailor a pitch for a better chance of conversion?
For sure.
Well,
Yeah.
that's kind of my use case, no? So it can.
So to what extent? I mean, can you quantify that, or have you noticed
Our success rates went significantly up with them, and reply rates are higher, and the response times are shorter, and the faster you get back to the journalist, the more chances you also. So the time is very essential, So I think it does help significantly. We are tracking our mentions. How many times you are mentioned through PR, and that went threefold since we implemented this with the same
Right.
amount of sources.
We got to go out and Google OysterLink, and I'm sure that'll confirm what you're
We
saying.
are a small company. You will not find much, but you can go and check for sure.
Okay.
Our bark is much bigger than our bite. But anyways, I want to share one more idea, one more case where you said where AI fails. Well, funny story. I uploaded my video of my lap from the racetrack, and it gave me some direction. I didn't get any faster whatsoever, so that failed big time. Anyway, but one jokes aside, one serious point is that if you give AI a complex task, no matter in which area, it's going to fail. What you need to do is you need to dissect it into small pieces, and you need to use series of AI, so inputs and outputs. It cannot work with the complex. You cannot tell AI, and I'm not advising this anyone to do, you cannot tell AI, go write me an entire article. It will not do this well. But if you have a check that says, here's my SEO checklist, check it for SEO. Here's my performance checklist, check it for, here's my EAT for Google authority and so on and so forth, check for that. And it can give you, or say, here's the, I want to sound like so-and-so. Let's say you're writing, here's another top tip. You're writing an article for Bronx. You're targeting Bronx. You want to sound like someone from Bronx. It will give you nice suggestions. So those small pieces, yes, but you cannot say, do the whole research and write it and just hit publish. It will not work.
Similarly, if you're doing an award entry and you've got the criteria that the award entry is judged on, you can put your award entry into AI and ask it to sort of vet it for you using the criteria, the judging criteria that the judges will use. Whether it makes a difference, I don't know, because the judges will be people themselves, and whether they have the same ideas in mind, but it can be useful in terms of getting suggestions on how you can improve your award entry. So we've used it quite successfully from that perspective.
Interesting. That kind of worries me a little bit in that it's very tempting. I mean, the rallying cry these days is just give it to the AI, let the AI try it. You're struggling with something, and why not give it a try, see how it does. But we don't always know. I mean, how it's going to do, or if that would have made a difference.
I think also we need to be really careful that we're not putting confidential information into AI.
100%.
That's really
especially the public models.
Yeah.
And I think, sorry, I was just saying, and I think there should be pop-ups to remind people not to put confidential information into AI engines, because there aren't any, as far as I can tell. And I think it's only going to be a matter of time until there's
you were saying something, Emily? No, that's a good point.
I was actually going to bring up the same thing, which is like, while we use outside AI engines, we have a proprietary tool on our team that allows us, obviously we represent public companies, tech companies, etc., and we can't put out any information to any AI engine that's public. And so we have a proprietary one within like a tool we use internally for anything like that. But I think there's so much opportunity. Like Notebook LM by Google is a really great resource. If you put in a YouTube link, it pulls the entire transcript of whatever it is that you want from anything publicly cited. And then sometimes you can take those notes, flip them internally into your internal tool, and maybe use them as you see fit, or to help you build out some pieces or ideas and things like that. And pull like direct quotes from other SMEs to potentially like pull into a piece. So lots of opportunity to kind of overlap what's publicly available, and then make sure anything that's proprietary or important to your clients is internal.
I'd love to hear from everybody, and we've already started here some of this favorite tools and what to use for a certain type of assignment. I'm a big believer in the peanut gallery approach, or the kitchen cabinet, where you run a problem by a number of chat agents to see what comes back. Some are better at some tasks than others. I think a number of you pointed out Perplexity is good for research, right? I think that I'd agree with for sure. What about Claude? What about Gemini? What about Microsoft's Copilot? In general, I'd just like to ask what tools you use. Is anybody getting, by the way, into agentic, doing agents to automate work, AI agents?
We are only
Not
using
much.
tools. We don't use,
Haven't.
basically, when we use AI, we just use custom-made agents. Like
So
ChatGPT.
they are agents. They are agents. Okay.
Yes, of course.
To automate tasks.
Yeah.
What about others? What are some favorite tools?
In terms of AI agents and the work that we're having them do, it's mostly to help pull for news scans. That's oftentimes like something that can be time consuming for junior level staff. So if you have an agent who can pull top headlines from the day that are specific to a client or specific to an industry, it can help speed up the day. It can help us pull strategic news jacks faster, things like that.
Great. How do we take AI and PR even farther? What recent advances have been key, and what may come next? Anybody want to take some guesses?
I think that we're finally starting to open up the conversation a little bit. It felt sort of in the last maybe year and a half or so that AI was almost really taboo, both on the journalist side and on the PR side. I think for a long time, everybody was saying, "Oh, AI exists, but I don't use it. I don't approve of it." But we know from the Muckrack State of the Union that over 70% of journalists are using AI for the transcriptions, for their own research. And on the PR side, it's about the same percentage of PR agencies and publicists that are using AI tools. And so I think that the great thing is that we're finally starting to talk about it so that we can swap ideas, because if we say that we're not using it, then we can't talk about what's ethical, what's not, what should we be using it for, what should we not be. And so I think just by being able to have conversations like this podcast are really important, because instead of turning a blind eye to it and using it but saying we're not, we're actually able to talk about what works and what doesn't, so that we can leverage, as we were saying, leverage the human without replacing it, and just get more results more quickly.
Totally agree with Katie. I was just going to say, I feel like Gen AI is getting communicators off of the production treadmill and helping us just focus on impact and focus on being creative. So our team's seeing it firsthand, and it's an exciting time. Yeah. And I believe I just cut someone off. So if you want to hop in now, please do.
Oh, Milos is here. He disappeared for a second.
Yes. Well, my CEO just called me, and I had to pick up for a second to tell him
okay.
I cannot talk. Anyways, what was the topic again? Sorry. Yes, I remember. Okay. I wanted to actually flip the question a little bit.
Please.
That I'm very much interested in. Do you have any experience with how does PR, so doing PR, impacts your citations, positions showing up in AIs?
Can I volunteer Emily for that? Because Emily, your agency is doing some interesting work in that area, as far as I know, with the
yes, we launched Markup Plus Labs, and what we do is we now monitor share of model. So we look across different AI engines, and we're seeing how much does a company in the healthcare space show up compared to competitors when it comes to prompts? Are they showing up in searches? Is this something they need to work on? And then we critically look at what websites, whether it's their own website or if it should be their website, is starting to where the information is being pulled from. And so, for instance, we're finding that a lot of models pull a lot from Wikipedia. So if our team doesn't have a Wikipedia page, you know, we're going to counsel them, you got to make one. So it's little things like that, and also focused on the website. Is our agents pulling from the website when they're pulling these answers to search questions or not? And how do we make that happen more?
Does anybody have a definitive source for the best way to do what you say you're doing, Emily? I mean, as far as what kinds of content gets into those LLMs? You're raising your hand, Katie. Go ahead.
Yeah, Emily, I love that you guys are doing that. We're doing some similar stuff as well, and a couple of our clients on the agency side are CPG brands. So as buyers are making decisions based on recommendations from some of these LLMs, we're really exploring how to make sure that those clickable, buyable products are showing up on some of these different AI tools. Something that we're doing for Pitchwell specifically, because we also want these LLMs to know what Pitchwell is and be able to recommend it to PRs or small brands that want to do their own PR. We've been doing a lot of forum postings, so Reddit's and some other tech forums. Our software engineer is already a bit of a guru in a lot of those different forums. And so just by talking about Pitchwell, we're able to kind of train the LLMs to know what Pitchwell is, so that when you ask it about PR tools, Pitchwell is one of the ones that show up. And that's a similar recommendation that we make for all of our clients, right? So we work with midwives and a lot of people in the health and nutrition space. We work with nutritionists. So we have a wide range of different experts and brands that we work with. And so teaching them also to make sure that they're taking the proper steps, whether it's on their website, as you mentioned, Emily, or through their links where they're purchasable, to be able to show up properly on different tools.
So let's recap. You said, I believe Katie, or no, Emily said Wikipedia is a must, and then Reddit also helps. What else? What else is important to actually be cited in an AI result?
I'd say FAQs top. Well, you asked Emily.
Oh, yeah.
Emily.
FAQs.
On your website, FAQs, you mean?
Like it could also be on an industry website where they're interviewing your CEO, you know, Q&A.
Yeah.
Top list, top 10, you know.
Yep.
But any others?
I
Those
think
are some right
it's
there.
really, yeah, I think it's really important that you get press coverage in credible third-party kind of independent, you know, outlets, you know, reputable outlets. It's so important. That's what we found in terms of the research that we've looked at. That's what the LLMs pull from. So it's so important that you get your name and your brand into, you know, editorial coverage, editorial pieces, rather than, earned coverage rather than owned coverage.
Well, a lot
Yeah,
are saying
I think
it's free.
earned.
Go ahead, Katie. I'm sorry.
I was just going to echo that. I think earned coverage is sort of the creme de la creme, the most coveted, important thing that you can have, whether you're an expert, a public company, a small brand, CPG, regardless of who you are and what you do. Earned media still is the highest standard of credibility markers, and also, even as we're saying, you know, driving traffic and interest back to the brand itself.
I think we'd all love to agree. We're all from the PR side, except for Milos, but he works with PR. But is there validation for that? Do we know that earned media moves the needle, or what kinds of earned media move the needle on mentions in LLMs?
So this is actually super interesting, because part of our media strategy for clients in 2026 is targeting the publications that allow AI crawlers and things like that, because there's where it's totally blocked, or they're doing their best to block them for the integrity of their journalism, and they don't want copyright issues with ChatGPT obviously pulling something like that. But we are kind of looking if a publication will influence how a model will report about them. We definitely are looking to get those more. And then another thing that's interesting is they are pulling a lot from Business Wire and PR News and these sorts of wires. So whenever there's news coming out for a client, we are counseling them to for sure publish it over the wire.
Are there that many publications that haven't that have asked the ChatGPTs, the LLMs, not to crawl their sites, not to? Are there that many? And where would you find a list of the ones that?
I think
Yes.
most of them feed they've done deals with the LLMs, so most of them feed the LLMs, I think, all the main ones.
The big
Yeah.
ones like New York Times, I think, cut a deal, but I'm
Yeah.
wondering.
But that was after like a big, like I think they were suing and everything. So I think they are starting to get on board with allowing the LLMs to pull from them. But those deals are still being cut. Like I feel like every week there's something new.
Team,
Well, it's a matter of.
I apologize, but I will need to leave in a few minutes. So if there is anything else that I can talk about.
That's okay, Milos. We really appreciate your participation. I think we're probably wrapping up anyway. I mean, we've covered it pretty well. I really appreciate this point of view because, like one of us was saying earlier, it's not a topic that necessarily you want to talk about, and you're coming on sharing your insights and tips, so it's really much appreciated. So, any final thoughts before we stop?
I was just gonna say I really enjoyed hearing from you all. You guys all brought really incredible, really interesting things to the table, and thank you, Bob, for putting this together for us.
Pleasure. Thank you for participating.
Just
And thanks, Taylor.
I took a lot of notes on my own
All
side
right.
of different things to try out and test, since clearly this is a panel of very intelligent and forward-thinking people. I think, Bob, one of the questions that you had toward the end was, are we worried about what's happening? And I think but I do think that a panel like this actually gives a lot of confidence to what we're doing, because we are still creative. We are still the ones that are kind of using tools to our advantage as opposed to replacing ourselves. And, having this conversation has only kind of solidified that for me. I think we are still necessary, and it's our jobs to make sure that the people and products that we represent show up how they need to. And I don't think that that's going to change. It's only going to become more important as decisions are made based on what people see on AI.
I completely agree. I completely agree. And it's great to have this forum to discuss, people's learnings and what they're taking, and kind of road test them against your own. And either give you ideas or just, have the confidence to know that what you're doing is sane is enormously helpful. I think one thing that we should all just bear in mind is just making sure that AI, with the kind of erosion of entry-level roles, doesn't increase inequality with people.
Good point. That's a really good point.
I think that's
Or bias.
Yeah, or bias. So that's
100%.
something we just all be really switched onto. But if we're active participants of AI rather than passive participants, then we can make sure that we keep that front of mind, and hopefully that won't happen.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody. It has been great speaking with everybody. Let's continue the discussion, and I hope we stay in touch. Take care.